Excellent. Thank you so much, Mary, for that awesome introduction. As Mary mentioned, I've been on this campus a little over 17 years now, and I've been working with the dining services during that entire time. And in my role now, I'm a general manager at the Barn Restaurant. But throughout my years of experience at UC Riverside, I've had the opportunity to work with teams of all different sizes, managing people from all walks of life. And there is one fundamental underlying attribute or trait that you need to have to be an effective manager, and that is problem solving and working through interpersonal relationships and interpersonal conflict. Now, my experience here at UC Riverside has required me to help others on my team, on my staff, resolve these issues amongst themselves. As you might imagine, when you have a lot of different people under one roof, things can pop up, challenges arise due to varying personalities. And throughout the years, I've developed the concept of an emotional bank, a bank that is shared between two people where we make deposits and two people work on their relationship in tandem. Now, what I've prepared for you today is my presentation on trust. I've had the opportunity to workshop this trust presentation with various people on my team, people on other teams, and it's really allowed me to shift my mindset, right? The theme of our staff conference this year is Mindset Matters, transforming challenges into opportunities. So when I saw the theme, I knew instantly that my presentation on trust fit right in, because where some people see a challenge in having conflict with another person, or having a lackluster relationship with another person, or maybe having that one coworker that just irks you for whatever reason, there's always an opportunity there to find out why and an opportunity to improve on that relationship. So I developed this concept of the trust piggy. So I want you to imagine this trust piggy. It's a precious piggy bank, and it's a piggy bank that holds the currency of our relationships, both professional and personal. In this presentation, we're going to dive into the somewhat obvious yet often overlooked concept of trust. We're going to focus on the notion that trust is a dynamic account, with each interaction that we have serving as a deposit or a withdrawal. So just like a piggy bank, trust requires consistent investment for it to flourish. From seemingly small acts of kindness to more elaborate gestures of support, every interaction that we have contributes to its overall balance. I'm going to dive into the art of trust building and really unlocking the potential that we have to improve our professional collaborations and deepen the connections that we have with our friends, with our family, and with our fellow staff members. So when we talk about trust building, we're going to focus on two different paths. The first one is professional relationships, right? We all here, most of us are staff here at UC Riverside, so we interact with fellow staff members day in and day out. But we're also people, so we have personal relationships, and we manage the personal relationships that we have with our partners, with our children, and with our friends. Most importantly, we're going to talk about the importance of intentional deposits. When we harness the power of an intentional deposit, we can focus on how profound they impact on our metaphorical piggy bank. When we make these intentional deposits into our piggy bank, it helps the relationships that we have with one another. So let's first start off by defining trust. Trust is the confidence or reliance that we place on someone or something. It involves believing in the integrity, the ability, or the character of a person, an organization, or a system. And it's the feeling that you get, feeling assured that they will act in a manner that's predictable and dependable. That's what trust is: integrity, ability, character, being predictable and dependable. Here at UC Riverside, we use trust each and every day of our lives. We use it with the staff that we supervise, we use it with the supervisors that we report to, and we use it with the students that we serve. We use it with our colleagues that work within our office and across campus in another unit. And we also use trust in our personal lives, with our friends, with our partners, and with our children. Now, the word trust is often accompanied by the verb building trust. We build trust. It's something that you work towards. To build trust, there's a lot of layers to doing that effectively. You have to be accountable. You have to do what you say you will do, and you have to own your mistakes and shortcomings. You have to have good communication. You have to share information with others, as that can reduce uncertainty or suspicion. You have to be respectful to others, be cordial to others, treat them with kindness and empathy. Be consistent, be dependable and reliable. It inspires confidence in others. And have integrity. Follow through with your commitments. Don't overpromise and don't underdeliver. Now, there's another verb that accompanies the word trust, and that's broken. Right? The saying goes, trust has been broken. How do you break trust? Well, it's by not doing what you say you'll do, so you can break commitments. It's by being inconsistent or wishy-washy. Or sometimes it's just straight up lying or being dishonest. That's how you can break trust. And when we break trust, we shift focus away from intentional deposits, and we end up with unintentional withdrawals. So in these upcoming examples, we're going to see that to build trust with another person is making intentional deposits into this metaphorical piggy bank. And when we break trust with that person, it's like we're making unintentional withdrawals from that metaphorical piggy bank. I want to share with you this quote about trust. Trust is built in drops and lost in buckets. This is a quote by American businessman and philanthropist Kevin A. Plank. Imagine, trust is built in drops, small drops, one at a time, falling one after another in succession, but it's lost in buckets. So when you lose trust, you lose quite a bit of it in rapid order. I'm going to share with you some examples of scenarios and situations that we might encounter as professional staff here at UC Riverside. So in our professional setting, when we interact with our coworkers, with students, with faculty, and with all the members of the campus community, we have choices that we can make. We have the ability to choose how we act, what we do, and what we say. I want to share with you these following scenarios, and you all can let me know what you think, if these are deposits into these relationships or withdrawals. So here's the first one. This is trust at work. This is you as a supervisor. I imagine many of you on this Zoom call right now work as a supervisor in some type of supervisory capacity. Hey, Sarah, I recall that you left work early yesterday to attend your son's bass clarinet recital, and you asked them, how was it? Right? What do you think that is? Is that a deposit in that person or a withdrawal? It's a deposit, right? We're showing interest in others. We're showing interest in the members of our team. We're showing them that we care about them more than just an employee. We want to know more about their personal life, and we care about their son's success. Here's one more example. Trust at work as a supervisor. Hey, David, there's a project of significant importance that I would like for you to lead. So you're telling another person on your team, that there's something really important, valuable to the organization, valuable to the unit, and you want to trust them with leading it. That's a deposit. When you advocate for others, when you lean into others' strengths, it shows them that you care about them, that you see them, and that you respect them. Here's one more example of trust at work as a supervisor. Okay. So let's say Sarah gives you a time off request, but you're hesitant to approve it because of possible budget cuts and staffing shortages. So you just sit on the request. You don't approve it, but you don't deny it. You just kind of sit on it. That's a withdrawal. So Sarah's counting on this time off request, and they don't understand why you're delaying approving it or denying it. They don't know why you're doing any of this. You haven't communicated the reason. You haven't set the expectation for Sarah. So when you just sit on it and don't respond, you're taking from that relationship that you have with Sarah. All right. Here is another example of trust at work, but this time you're not a supervisor, you're a colleague, right? So you invite the office to happy hour at the barn after work, but you make it a point to invite your coworker Jane, even though you already know she has another commitment. So there's no chance Jane is going to join the rest of the team to the happy hour at the barn, but you invite her anyways. That's an example of a deposit. You're being inclusive of others. It makes Jane feel good about that. It makes her feel welcomed. Here's one more as a colleague. Your office hires a new financial analyst, and they don't know how to navigate Oracle. You choose to help them out so that they feel welcome to the team. That's a deposit. We're offering to help others. Now, this is an example of a deposit into that relationship that could be very profound. It could be very deep. So imagine you're this new employee, you're joining a team or organization that has a different system than you're used to. You don't know how to navigate it, but you have that one coworker that you can count on that's extra friendly, extra nice, is willing to take time out of their day to show you the ropes. It's like that mama bird impression for that new employee. You'll forever be the person for them. You'll be the best coworker for them because you're taking time out of your work responsibilities to help them out, to help them learn the ropes and navigate the new system that they're not used to. Let's take another look at another one as a colleague. You agree to be on a work group for an executive recruitment, but the meetings take place at an inconvenient time, so you just skip the meetings. That's a withdrawal. You have to show up and be consistent. Now, in your head, you might be thinking, there's like 12 people on this search committee. Do they really need me? An argument could be made either way if they really need you or not, but they invited you. They asked you to be a part of it. You said yes. So when you don't show up to the meetings, when you don't participate in the work group, it's a withdrawal. You're taking away space that could be given to other people. You're taking away time and influence that could be allocated to someone else. That is a withdrawal. Here's one more example. Trust at work, but this time it's not with a colleague and it's not with somebody that reports to you. This is you with your supervisor. We all have a boss. We all have a supervisor that we report to. So you told your supervisor that you would have all of your TPS reports finished by Thursday, but your supervisor took Friday off, so you decide to finish them next week. That's a withdrawal. Now, again, the argument could be made, well, maybe my supervisor never finds out. He's going to be off on Friday anyways, so he'll never know. They'll never know. It's a withdrawal nevertheless. When you don't do what you say you will do, you're taking away from those deposits that you've made. Let's look at this next example. Again, trust at work with your supervisor. You make it a point to log on to all of your Zoom calls 2 or 3 minutes before the scheduled start to make sure that your settings are correct and that you're on time. That's a deposit. When you respect other people's time, you build trust with them. Here's the last example of trust at work with your supervisor. You took Monday off for a weekender in Vegas, but Friday traffic is crazy. So you tell your supervisor that your tummy doesn't feel well so you can dip out early and get a jump on traffic, right? Raise your hand if you've ever done that. I'm just kidding. Don't raise your hand. This is a withdrawal. You need to be honest, right? So even if you think your supervisor bought your story, they know what's really happening. They're not going to fight you about leaving early on Friday, but they know they're not going to see you till Tuesday because you're going to be in Vegas because you already asked for that time off. So while they might be pleasant, while they may seem accommodating in the moment and tell you head out early, feel better, they know what's really happening. They can see right through it. They can see your dishonesty. And between you and that supervisor, your relationship is now different. It might be strained because of that withdrawal that you made. Now, at the beginning of the presentation, I talked about the dynamic nature of this trust account. Between every two people, there's this piggy bank. It's this metaphorical piggy bank. And all of us, whether we realize it or not, we're constantly making deposits and withdrawals. When we do something nice for another person, it's a deposit, right? So if somebody comes into the office and I say, hey, that's a really nice shirt you have on. It looks awesome. They say thank you and carry on with their day. I just made a deposit in that person, in that account that I have with them. On the flip side, if I'm inconsistent with them, if I say something that irks them, that's a withdrawal. And we do this day in and day out in all of our professional lives, whether we realize it or not. It could be the people that we correspond with via email. It could be simple things like replying to a message promptly. On the flip side, it could be sitting on an email for too long and not replying till the next week. Both of those actions are deposits and withdrawals. When we talk about trust, it has a lot of practical implications in a workplace setting. Of all the issues that I've ever dealt with as a manager of interpersonal conflict between two people, the root cause of the conflict was always a lack of trust. Two people that don't see eye to eye are two people that don't trust each other. Neither of them have invested the time or effort to make intentional deposits into their trust piggy bank. None of them have done it. In fact, some of them perhaps have made too many withdrawals. And that's the root of the conflict. That's the root of the issue. When there's too many withdrawals into that metaphorical piggy bank, it goes bust. It's bankrupt. There's nothing to draw on. So if you carry yourself in a manner where you're intentionally depositing into the people around you, into the staff people that you serve, into the students that you serve, into your friends and your family, you will have a rich, lush piggy bank that you can withdraw from in the future. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about personal settings. While all of us here on this call were affiliated with UC Riverside in some way, shape, or form, we all have these experiences about professional trust that we have with our staff and coworkers. We're all also humans. We all have our personal lives that we deal with. And we can use this same metaphorical trust piggy in navigating these relationships and building stronger, more fruitful connections with the people that we love. So I have some scenarios. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to go through them and discuss how these actions or inactions can be deposits or withdrawals. So this is trust at home, you as a partner, okay? You tell your spouse that you'll be home for dinner time, but something at the office comes up. So you don't make it at the time you said you were going to go. That's a withdrawal. Remember that you need to do what you say you will do. If you tell your spouse or your partner that you're going to be home at a certain time, it's really important to be true to that. Now, things come up often, as they always do. But if you navigate yourself in a way where you're intentionally making deposits day in and day out, the occasion where something comes up at the office and you need to be late or you don't show up for dinner on time, the occasion that comes up, that withdrawal won't be as impactful to that trust piggy that you have with your spouse or partner. Here's the next one. This is again, trust at home, you as a partner. Your spouse arrives home tired and they start telling you how awful their day was at work. Now, instead of one-upping them with your crappy day at work, you just listen and you offer support. Be mindful of others' feelings. That's a deposit. It's really tempting to do the opposite, right? When you get home and your spouse or partner starts telling you about how everything went wrong that day, traffic was awful, their boss was a jerk, their coworkers irritated them, and they're sharing with you this information, it's really tempting to say, wow, if you think your day sucked, let me tell you about my day and how mine sucked more. It's tempting to do that. It's almost like a coping mechanism. But if you can stop yourself and choose to just listen and offer support, that goes much further in letting your spouse or partner know that you care about their feelings and offering them the support that they need. Maybe it's just listening to them. Maybe it's offering advice of how they can navigate their day better. But that's a deposit. When you keep your thoughts to yourself and you just support your spouse or partner. Let's look at this next example. This is you as a friend, okay? So your friend invites you to celebrate their birthday at the new hibachi restaurant that just opened up. But you get home exhausted from work and the kids haven't showered and they haven't done their homework. So you decide not to go. You have a million and one reasons why you can't go. Your time is better served at home and not celebrating your friend's birthday at the hibachi restaurant. It's a withdrawal. You have to honor your commitments. In your head, you might be trying to rationalize it by saying, well, all of my other friends are going to be there. My friend will be fine. He's not really going to miss me. I have a lot of things keeping me at home now. Your friend thought it was important enough that you attend their birthday celebration that they invited you. So if you say you're going to go, you need to go. You need to show up. Here's one more example of you as a friend. Okay, so your friend tells you that they broke up with their boyfriend. So instead of telling them how glad you are that they dumped their no good, loser, bum boyfriend, you offer kind words and support. That's a deposit. You're treating them with kindness. It's so tempting to tell them, I told you so. It's so tempting to tell them, thank goodness you left them. It's so tempting to tell them, you're better off alone. But in that moment of vulnerability, they're sharing with you something that's emotionally important to them. They might be devastated. They might be very sad. So in this moment, you choose to offer kind words and support instead of celebrating that they made the right choice. How about you as a parent? I know many of us here are parents, so we interact with our children in different ways. Let's look at this example. Junior asks you for a juice box and you tell him no because he already had a lot of sweets today. He doesn't need another juice box. You tell him, go drink a water. But when your little princess asks you for a juice, you ask her apple or fruit punch. that's a withdrawal. You're being inconsistent. So to Junior, that's a withdrawal because he can see that you're treating your little princess differently. To your princess, that might be a deposit because I'm sure she loves the fact that you're giving her their choice of apple or fruit punch. Here's another scenario of you as a parent. Okay, so Junior wants to join a youth soccer league, but practices are at 8 a.m. on Saturdays. Oof, 8 a.m. on Saturday. No way. So you get up early every week and you brew coffee to get ready. That's a deposit. You're showing interest in others. You're showing interest in your child, in your children. You're doing the things that they want to do, even if it's inconvenient for you, even if you've had a long week at work, even if youth soccer leagues are expensive, you're doing something for them. You're doing something that they like. And to them, that will forever be a deposit. Again, trust is a dynamic account. This trust piggy is dynamic. Deposits go in and withdrawals come out. Most of the time, we live our lives in a manner that's on autopilot. We're just living our life. We're doing what we think is right. We're doing as we please, not paying attention to the deposits that we make along the way and not paying attention to the withdrawals that we make along the way. So just in the same way we can make intentional deposits, we risk making inadvertent or unintentional withdrawals. And I want you to really stop and think, what happens when I withdraw too much? When I have this trust piggy with another person and I take 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 so much that the small deposits that I might make along the way, they're not enough to keep it full, right? So I essentially bankrupt my trust piggy. I've taken everything that I could from that trust piggy. There is nothing left to take. That relationship is strained. In some instances, that relationship is done. In all of my experience as a parent, a spouse, a partner, a friend, a coworker, a manager, a supervisor, I've seen time in and time out that when we nurture these relationships, when we invest in the trust piggies that we have with one another, we can see positive results. But it takes a certain amount of planning, a certain amount of intentionality. It can be small things. Maybe your coworker presents a strategy at a meeting to help improve the department. A simple deposit might be going up to them after that meeting and say, hey, that was a really good idea you presented. Good job. That's a deposit. With your friends, it's showing up, being there for them when they need you. When they're going through a challenging time, offering them support, offering them help. Sometimes it's not what you say, but it's what you do. With your spouse or partner is being a good member of the household, contributing to the chores that need to get done, taking care of the kids in an equitable manner. All of these actions are deposits. When we don't think about the deposits that we're making, we run the risk of accidentally taking too much. So it's important to change our mindset to think about how we act every single day of our lives with one another. So when we interact with strangers on the street, when we interact with our coworkers, our fellow members of the UC Riverside community, it's important that we make these deposits and we stop and we think, what deposits am I going to make today? So with that, I want to pose a couple of questions to you all. The first one is, what deposits will I make into the trust piggy that I have with my friends, my coworkers, and with my family? So I'll pause there because I really want everybody to kind of stop and think, what deposits am I going to make? And let's narrow it down to just today, today's staff conference. What deposits am I going to make? And you can just choose one group. It doesn't have to be all three. Let's just choose with your coworkers today. What deposits will you make? What small gesture, what act of kindness, what act of reassurance will you do to make an intentional deposit into the trust piggy that you have with a coworker? Think about that for a sec. Alrighty. Here's the next one, and the more important one is, what actions should I avoid to prevent unintentional withdrawals from my piggy bank? Unintentional withdrawals, they happen all the time. Did you walk down the office the length of cubicles and not say good morning to someone? Maybe you weren't even thinking about it. Maybe you were in a rush to get down to your desk. But you not saying good morning to somebody, maybe that was a withdrawal for them. Maybe you get an email asking for your input on something. You don't have the answer. You need to do a little bit of research. You need more time. But instead of replying and saying that you need more time or you need to think about it a bit, you sit on that email and you say, I'll just get to it next week. I'm so busy with my work here today. I'll just get to that message next week. That could be a withdrawal. So I'm going to stop for a second and think, and allow everybody to pause for a second, think, what am I going to do today to prevent these unintentional withdrawals? What do I need to avoid to ensure that I'm not taking from these trust piggies that I have with other people? Alrighty. So those are the two questions side by side if you need to reference them. Again, I'll go back to the notion that your mindset matters, right? The whole theme of our staff conference is that we're going to transform our challenges into opportunities. So most of the challenges that we face in our day-to-day work are related to the tasks that we do. But more often than not, some of the challenges that we face have to do with people. Managing people if you're in a supervisory role, interacting with people if you are in a customer-facing role, and interacting with coworkers. We all have them, and whether we like to admit it or not, sometimes we have friction with coworkers. Sometimes we don't get along as well as we should with our coworkers. And sometimes you have that one coworker, they just give you the ick. You don't know why they give you the ick. You don't know what it is about them, but something about them prevents you from having a deep connection with them, prevents you from working as fluidly as you would like to or should. So for those instances where you might have a strained relationship, where you might have a difficult interpersonal situation at home, stop and think, what deposits can I make? For this trust piggy to flourish, it often takes deposits from both sides. But at bare minimum, you can do your part by making the intentional deposits into this emotional piggy bank or this trust piggy bank that you have with somebody else. And I've had success with this strategy in all my years here at UC Riverside, coaching and developing staff. Anytime I've encountered an interpersonal relationship between two people on my team, I present to them this metaphor of this trust piggy. And I break it down into a series of actions and inactions that they do. And I show them of how what they do and what they say affects this trust piggy. And I've had great success. So I'm really proud and grateful that I'm able to share this with you all. And I want to really thank Staff Assembly for putting on Staff Conference and allowing me to share this topic with you. I've shared it with many others on my staff, and I've had success with it. And I think everybody on this call can really stop for a sec, internalize this notion, change your mindset into knowing I can control part of this interpersonal relationship. You can't control how another person sees you. You can't control how they act towards you. And you definitely can't control the deposits that they make into your piggy. But you can control the deposits that you're willing to make into that trust piggy that you have with them. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and pause and see from the members on this call if we have any comments, concerns, observations. Let's go ahead and stop the share right there. Let me look at the chat. Everybody's got it? All right. Let's see. All right. The chat is lighting up. Context into the dynamics, even personal relationships. All righty. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, Robbie said that they're going to share this with the students that they supervise. This is 100% applicable to student employees as well. In my unit, we manage and supervise hundreds of students. So this metaphorical trust piggy definitely comes into play there as well. Excellent. Oh, what's something surprising? So Mona asked, what's something surprising you found out about yourself after applying this method? So I think we've all been there where our mindset is in a funk, right? Nothing at work is going right. You're not happy with the professional progress that you're making. So instantly you want to go ahead and you want to start blaming others. You want to blame the system. It's rigged. You want to blame your supervisor. Your supervisor doesn't look out for you. Your supervisor is holding you back. Your supervisor doesn't give you the opportunities. And I've been the victim of that, of my own thoughts and my own delusions about what was holding me back. And I think there was a moment of clarity when I realized, I'm in control of me and I can control the deposits I make in other people. So when I started focusing on making deposits into the people that I had conflict with, making deposits into the systems or processes that I disagreed with, I realized that I found a happy place for myself. I was satisfied with the work that I was doing. Even if I didn't meet the goals that I personally wanted, even if I didn't find the level of success that I personally wanted, I was satisfied knowing that I had done my part. I had made a deposit. And for some of those strained relationships that I've had with coworkers or with past supervisors, I found that after making these intentional deposits, those relationships improved. It's almost like you get what you give. So after making those intentional deposits, relationships improved. And yeah, that's one of the key things that I learned after applying the same principle into the work that I do. Let's see what else the chat is saying. How do you balance sticking to a commitment without stretching yourself too thin? It's a risk that we all take. We all want to take on more and more and more, and we want to be everything for everyone. But when we do that, we risk breaking ourselves, right? When you're everything for everyone, you might be nothing for everyone. So you might overextend yourself. So how do you balance that? When it comes to trust, you can overextend yourself all you want. A lot of us seem to think that the more we do, the better professional success we have. And that's true in many instances, right? You put in the long hours, you do the work, you build the connections, you network, you'll have more professional success, but you risk overextending yourself. So the balance is when you see, and usually you can see it from a few miles out, when you see yourself falling short of your commitments, when you think you're at risk of not honoring your commitments, say it out loud. Tell them. Tell the people. Say, hey, boss, I know I told you I'd have my TPS reports by Thursday, but I'm too busy, doing my reports in Oracle. Can I have more time? Your supervisor should appreciate the honesty. They should understand your workload, and most of the time, they'll be okay with you turning it in later. So when you're running the risk of overextending yourself or overdoing it, be honest. Say it out loud. Say, hey, raise your hand. I'm going to fall short of this commitment. Raise your hand. I'm not going to be able to do what I said I was going to do, but provide the reason. And when you're honest with other people, even if you're not meeting your commitments, they'll respect the fact that you told them. Someone asks, what advice would you give to those who are working With those who feel have made too many withdrawals and that trust feels broken, it makes it harder to continue making deposits without feeling resentful. Absolutely, right? We've all had that strained relationship where you feel like, dude, I'm doing too much. I've given you way too many chances. I've given you way too many opportunities. All you do is take, 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 right? It's hard. You have to choose. And when I say choose, I mean you have to choose what makes you happy. Is happy having a strong connection with that person? If so, continue to make deposits. It's even worse if this person is essential to your professional success, right? So if this strained relationship is with your supervisor, if you and your supervisor don't see eye to eye and you feel like your supervisor, all they do is make withdrawals, right? You make deposits by honoring your commitments, completing your tasks, offering to help extra, and all they do is take, take, take. When is enough enough? It's a hard line to draw, but you have to choose what makes you happy. And if what makes you happy is having a good, strong relationship with your supervisor or with a coworker, continue to make deposits. It doesn't cost you anything extra to make deposits. And at the point where you see, hey, this person's just making withdrawals, you can feel comfortable. You can rest assured that you're doing your part at the bare minimum. And what I've found is when the other person starts seeing that you're making all of these deposits, there's often a switch that changes and they'll see what you're doing and hopefully reciprocate that. But it is a tough line to draw, but you really have to choose what makes you happy. And that could be continue making deposits, or if you're able to, sometimes you just kind of have to abandon that relationship and give yourself the space if that's what you need to be happy. So somebody asked, how do you reset to be mindful and make deposits with each person you are interacting with? There isn't a concrete strategy that I'd share. However, I get this immense clarity every morning after my drive in from work, right? I live about 6 miles away, but it takes me like 40 minutes to get to work. I drive into the parking lot, put my truck in park, and I just sit there. And those are the most joyous moments of the day. I'm just sitting there, I'm decompressing from my drive, I'm getting ready for the day. And often I like to ask myself, not only what do I need to get accomplished today, but what deposits will I make? So that decompression part of your day could be different for everybody. Some people do it at night, the night before you go to bed. You start thinking about what you're gonna do, the tasks you're gonna accomplish. I know I use my phone a lot for my to-do list. So if you can add to your to-do list every single day that you check your to-do list or your calendar of what you're gonna do, add deposits. What deposits are you gonna make? Calendar for yourself, or add that into your morning routine as part of your get ready for the day routine. What deposits will you make? Just makes food like ass to the person in cash. You would also make it. Yeah, absolutely. Trina adds that you can make an ask to cash in your deposit. So this metaphorical trust piggy that we have with other people, we often don't think about the deposits and the withdrawals that you make, right? But sometimes it is helpful to literally put it on paper, draw it out, right? So for the earlier question where, how do I navigate a situation where somebody's not making any deposits into the trust piggy and they're just taking, right? So you might literally say, hey, supervisor, hey, coworker, these are all the ways that I'm making these metaphorical deposits. These are all the ways that I'm fulfilling my end of the agreement or my part of the relationship. I'm completing my tasks on time. I'm showing up to work on time. I'm staying late to complete the duties. I'm helping out all the new team members. Can you do this one thing for me? And then you give them the ask. Can you help me with this? Can you give me more time to complete my TPS reports? You can literally say it out loud and ask. All right. All right. Well, gosh, I want to thank everyone that has been on this call with me. Melanie wrote, a colleague lost their temper at me for a minor thing, and I've noticed that I've struggled to trust them or like them after, right? So somebody lost their temper with you, um, and you're struggling to like them. Absolutely, right? So when somebody demonstrates frustration, anger, or resentment, and you see it visibly in their face, you hear it audibly in the words that they choose to use towards you, it can definitely put a strain on your relationship. That's an absolute withdrawal. There's two things that you need to keep in mind. Is number one, uh, was that withdrawal warranted, right? Look introspectively. Was there something that I did? Is there a series of things that I've been doing or haven't been doing that would cause them to lash out like that? Like, that's not an excuse. Nobody should ever demonstrate anger or temperament like that, especially in our workplace. There's no room for that. But look introspectively first to make sure that you're making the deposits that you need to be making, and then focus on making new deposits with them. If you don't trust them, but you have a cordial working relationship with them, think about what kinds of things that you can do to continue to make those deposits with them and hopefully improve that relationship. But like I said earlier, not all relationships can be salvaged, especially if it's a one-sided relationship where only you're putting in the effort that needs to be made. Um, Choose what makes you happy, choose what's important to you. If happy is having a strong relationship with that person, continue to make the deposits. If happy is peace of mind, not being stressed out at work, maybe take a step back from that. Take a step back, withdraw yourself from that situation, and perhaps in a future occasion, you can come back and make more deposits. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, all of this takes time. If we go back to that quote, trust is built in drops, but is lost in buckets, right? So when that coworker or that person had that temperament towards you, those were buckets of trust being taken away. And we can build that trust back with tiny, tiny deposits, little drops into that metaphorical trust piggy, and hopefully build back trust so that we have a good working relationship. And remember, when I said this is a dynamic piggy bank, you make deposits so that you can withdraw, right? So you make deposits, you're consistent, you show up, you're on time, you do your task, you're nice to people, you show kind gestures of support, so that on the occasion where you need to make a withdrawal for whatever reason, that trust piggy is nice and fat. It's got plenty of change in there for you to make that withdrawal. So when you do lose your cool, when you don't do what you say you will do, when you don't honor a commitment, it's not that big of a deal because you've spent the time that you needed to do to build that piggy up. All righty. So the last thing I want to do is share this last slide here. Oops. This last slide here, I want to let you all know about the upcoming sessions that we have during the 11 o'clock hour. We have Driving Your Team to Positive Energy and Success. That's presented by Alex Rollin, Erica Santoyo, and Sarah Dillon. And we have Renewing Your Energy and Sharpening Your Saw, presented by Shauna Nunez. So once again, I really want to thank Staff Assembly for putting on this fantastic conference with this wonderful theme of Mindset Matters and finding opportunity in our challenges. I want to encourage everyone to stick around for the 11 o'clock presentations, which I'm sure will be fantastic. Again, thank you to Mary White for being co-host and helping me out with the chat. I'm grateful to all of you that attended. I hope you can take something away from this lesson here and this conversation, this experiences that I've shared with you, and think intentionally about how you carry yourself day to day, and think about the deposits that you're going to be making with your coworkers, with your friends, and with your families. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Moses, for your great presentation. It was very insightful. And the visual of the trust piggy was very a reflective moment for myself. And I saw other people on this team who, or the conference who were excited about some of those concepts. So thank you so much for that. And everyone, thank you for joining us today. We'll see you at the next session.